Okay, the legacy of LPA. I think, beyond leaving a portfolio of places and spaces that have enriched lives and so on, I think the legacy is going to be about the people who came through this company, and some have moved on and started their own firms and been successful to various degrees, but I think the environment at LPA and the influence that the company's had on people, whether they continue in architecture or whatever, I think it's changed their lives. I think it's enriched their lives, and their being part of our lives here has enriched ours. So I think it's part of the legacy is that it's people, not just projects.
There's so much to say about that. I mean, I think it's really our approach to sustainability, at least right now. I think that's something that's been a focus of the company for as long as I've been here, and I started back in '87. We were even doing sustainable projects back then, so I think that's really, in terms of the business, in terms of moving forward, I think a legacy will leave.
Well, LPA always strives to do their best. I once had a younger staff member ask me why we took on certain projects because they didn't feel that they were deemed appropriate for the level of work that LPA does. And I informed them that if we didn't take on those jobs, a lesser architect would, and it's our responsibility to create the nicest environment possible for all projects, not just the prestigious project, but even the smaller projects. So regardless if it's a small background building or an upfront, highly prestigious tower, LPA always strives to do the best they can, and that's part of our legacy is leaving the environment and creating spaces and places that enrich the lives of people who use them.
That's an interesting question for us to answer, because I think we traditionally don't think about legacy. We think about the specific project we're working on at the time, and it's really about sort of being in the moment. And we feel if we do that really well, then we'll design something that will have legacy in it.
From my point of view, the legacy would be LPA create an opportunity for all the young and creative people to use their skill to design spaces that better serve society and in fact the people who uses this space.
To me, I love our kind of tagline that we create places and spaces that enrich the lives of those who use them. And to me, you can layer on all the other things we do, sustainability and integration, all those things. The bottom line is we are still creating these places and spaces that enrich lives, and that's the reason I'm here at LPA, because I really do feel like the work we do is touching lives of the current generation and future generations.
The most meaningful legacy that we have is the body of architecture that we'll leave behind. Especially working in higher education, we have the opportunity to work on buildings that affect the lives of people for years to come, and if they contribute to their education the way we believe they do, then it actually affects our society for many years to come.
I think one of the biggest impacts we have is kind of the quality of our work and the excellence of our design, and how we were able to improve. I think the public's perception of what sustainability is and kind of where we're going in terms of the planning of our projects to, in the case of K-12, really beginning to understand how education works and kind of fixing some of those problems being created by some of our politicians for a long time. And I think we're getting into a point where our buildings really begin to augment, the creating spaces and places for people that enrich their lives to use them. And I see education, the K-12 education segment, as one of those areas where we really can have a positive impact on the future of our kids, their ability to be educated, their ability to go on to higher things, planting the seeds for the future in terms of greatness of what this country can do.
Well, I think a lot of it is actually built. A lot of our buildings are actually in place. We have a good probably $6 billion worth of construction that's out there that people actually see and interact with on a regular basis. That's just from the standpoint of our actual product and our services. Obviously, we hope to leave a legacy in how we do our projects. Sustainability, I think all those projects being well designed and sustainable have a huge impact as far as the environment, as far as the use of the buildings, as far as the energy savings and money savings. So it's hard to estimate what the legacy might be in terms of effect on our economy, effect on our people, etc. Also, we are a firm that has very strong values, so we hope to leave an expectation and raise the bar, so to speak, as it relates to our profession, design profession, engineering, and sustainability certainly, and corporate culture that we have.
Well, the legacy that LPA will leave for future generations, I think will be traced through all the built environments that we create, and the idea there is to really leave them with an impression of how architecture really can make people's lives better.
I think one thing about LPA and the kind of work that we do is that it's more or less a very timeless approach to design and to architecture, which I think will translate well into future generations. And I think the whole idea of bringing green design to the masses, to the public, to Main Street, will be the legacy that we leave behind. I think we're going to be trendsetters in not only green design, but also in holistic design. And to me, that's the important thing to leave behind for future generations.
You know, that's really good to say. But the truth of the matter is, you drive around Orange County or anywhere that we've been practicing architecture in, people tell me all the time, I saw your project. They know what an LPA project is because it stands out from the rest of the architecture. So if we have a legacy to leave, is to uplift the community's architecture and make people aware that, you know, spaces and places really mean something. It's not just, you know, plastering a building with materials.
That's a really interesting question because I honestly believe that we think so holistically about everything that we do, and we're balancing everything we're thinking about when we're doing these projects, and we really try and touch every aspect. So in K-12 environments, that's everything from the classroom to the multi-purpose rooms, thinking about the smallest of details in terms of how we integrate signage, to the really big things about how we're going to do ball fields. And I think that when you're done and you walk into our projects, that you can tell that we affected every aspect. There's nothing that we felt was less valuable, and I think that's quite a legacy.
LPA would like to impact lives of those that live in and work at and go to school in the buildings that we help to create. We feel that the built environment, artificial and natural, are environments that can impact individuals of all ages, for good and for bad. We obviously would choose the latter. We feel that the environments that we help to create will do their part in allowing for individuals of all ages to mature and to grow in all ways.
The legacy that LPA will leave for future generations is quality school environments, educational facilities that really get students excited about learning, get teachers excited about teaching, and leaving an excellent legacy for our communities of showing the importance of education to parents and the community members.
I believe LPA is going to leave behind good architecture, good design in environments that really meet the needs of the people that are using the facilities. It's the built environment that we create lasts a very long time, and the quality that LPA puts into those environments is going to be around a very long time for future generations.
Yeah, I like to think about LPA leaving behind places that are memorable, special places that evoke memories from people, and sustainable places that'll, as Steve said, will last for ages and ages, and certainly a built environment that takes into account preserving the resources for future generations. That's really what we're all about.